Ancient plus interstellar plus zoological plus immortal plus modern plus apocalypse, Lanxi, the daughter of the highest commander in the interstellar space, is a genius scientist of the Federal Empire. Since she created a divine-level light brain, she has been chased by the world. Legend has it that having a divine-level light brain can make you a god. Lanxi, with her divine-level light brain, unexpectedly traveled through various fields during her escape. In ancient times, Lanxi possessed the highest level of technology, medical expertise, infinite wealth, and weapons that shocked the world. Interstellar. Lanxi possesses ancient materials, obtains the most primitive resources, and masters the most mysterious powers, making the entire interstellar world beyond reach. Beast World. Lanxi possesses knowledge from 2 worlds, as well as the strongest weapon in the interstellar realm, possessing the highest level of abilities. Immortal Realm. Lanxi cheats and cultivates immortals, and the entire immortal realm is swept inside. A new trend has also emerged in the immortal realm. Modern. Lanxi is a hidden boss who comes and goes without a trace, and can do whatever she wants. Apocalypse. Lanxi is the deity of this world. As long as she thinks, she can save or destroy the world. Lanxi has left behind her legend in various worlds. Recommended concluding article: Reborn Immortal Wife. Empress Dowager Farming and Leisure, keywords of the novel. Full-level boss in various fields without pop-ups, full-level boss in various fields. Download the complete set of TXT in various fields, and read the latest chapters in various fields for full-level boss. Chapter 1. Accidental Crossing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Accidental Crossing, Alert. Alert. The spaceship has been severely damaged, activating time and space shuttle. Lanxi's eyes were filled with anger, wishing to shoot all the people who were surrounding her to death with a laser gun. A group of rookies actually surrounded and killed her for the sake of light brain. If it weren't for trusting her colleagues too much, she would have ended up like this. At this moment, she wished to have these people die naked. Even though Lanxi was angry, she calmly began to travel through time and space. With the command of time and space shuttle, a dazzling strong light was emitted from the control panel of the spacecraft, covering Lanxi. Lanxi's figure was instantly lost in the cabin. In the moment when Lanxi disappeared, bang! Lanxi's spaceship immediately exploded, and the huge explosion sound shook the entire interstellar space, illuminating the pitch-black universe. The power of the explosion destroyed the entire star belt. The person who surrounded her looked at the scene in shock and said, "Lan is dead. She would rather die than surrender her divine-level brain." Everyone knows that Lanxi is not dead, she has only traveled through time and space. Lanxi felt dizzy and suddenly felt a grounded feeling on her feet. She opened her eyes and looked around curiously. Where is this? The azure sky, green mountains, trees, flowers, and grass. Everything exudes vibrant vitality. Lanxi used her spiritual power to scatter around and found that there were unknown beasts and plants living in the grass. Those wild beasts and plants have long disappeared into the vast interstellar space. Gwr, where is this? Lanxi asked her brain. She was surrounded and killed because of this optical brain, which she called fruit. Gwr is her proud work that she has spent 5 years creating with the latest cutting-edge materials. Its functions can rival those of artifacts. The strength of the fruit has made the entire upper echelons of the interstellar space very wary. Those high-level officials, in order to obtain it, are willing to kill her as the creator. She is one of the most talented scientists in the interstellar world, and those people joined forces to kill her in order to own the fruit. If it weren't for her fear of becoming a wanted criminal after returning, she would have killed all those people long ago. Wait, there will always be a day to settle accounts with them. At that time, they won't be able to get any resources from her anymore. Now, let's first clarify the current situation. Gwr, divine-level optical brain, scan this place. This is a feudal dynasty in the universe. Lanxi was surprised. Isn't the feudal dynasty the legendary ancient times? Collect information here. Lanxi gave instructions to Guerre. Start scanning. Collection completed. Has she received the information? Yes. Lanxi said. Start transmitting data. Transmission completed. Lanxi has received the information transmitted by Guerre and has gained some understanding of this place. The technology, medical care, and production level here are all very backward, and it is in the feudal agricultural era. The food, art, literature, animals, plants, and handicrafts here have scientific research value, and almost all have been lost in interstellar space. These things are priceless treasures placed in the interstellar space. Lanxi is very excited. Everything here is something that can be seen but not sought after in the interstellar space. At this moment, she wished to collect all these things and fill her nanospace. Unfortunately, when Guerre took her through time and space, she had already exhausted her energy. Even if she fills the nanospace, she can't go back temporarily. Lanxi checked the current situation and found no injuries on her body. Apart from traveling through time and space, all other functions of Guerre can still be used. If you want to use time travel again, you can only collect the natural forces here and convert them into energy to gather the energy that travels through time and space. How could it be so easy to gather the energy that travels through time and space? There hasn't been 100 years, don't think about going back. Fortunately, she has supernatural powers, and Shou Yuan, who is over 500 years old, is not afraid of dying here. What reassured her the most was that the passage of time in this time and space was different from the interstellar world. No matter how long she stayed here, when she returned, she would always stay at the moment she traveled. As soon as she comes, she will settle down. Lanxi plans to find a way out here. She observed the surrounding environment and found it to be a wilderness. Guerre, decipher the language and writing system here, Lanxi said to Guerre. Guerre executes the command. Load language and text system. Loading completed, shared. Lanxi learned the language and writing here in the spiritual realm, and she quickly mastered all the information here. Understanding it is one thing, and how to practice it depends on her next performance. Lanxi came out of the wilderness and chose a direction to walk towards the nearby village. On the way, whenever she met someone, she used her mental strength to avoid them. She quietly entered the village alone and saw a young girl's clothes hanging outside a house. She looked down at her clothes and planned to dress up as the girl here. Lanxi exchanged an interstellar stone for that piece of clothing. She placed the stone where her clothes were hanging and walked away with them. From the information passed to her by Guerre, it was learned that this type of interstellar stone will be sold at a sky-high price here and belongs to the top gemstone category. Should the owner agree to exchange a gemstone for a piece of clothing? Lanxi found a hidden place to change her clothes and even tidied up her hair. When she came out of hiding, she had already transformed into an ancient appearance. Lanxi changed her attire and carefully avoided the crowd, walking towards the nearby town. In town, this day happens to be the day of the market. The bustling streets are bustling with people coming and going, and various stalls are placed on both sides of the street. The vendors warmly shout out to the crowds. Lanxi looked around curiously, and the affairs here were vastly different from those of the interstellar world. She used her spiritual power to keep an eye on the entire town and observe everything here. Baozi, sell Baozi. This bowl of wonton is 8 won. 10 won and 3 yuan for pastries. This hen costs 45 won. Suddenly, Lanxi was attracted by a tempting taste. She quickly found the source of the taste. Selling roasted chicken, 80 won per roasted chicken. Lan looked steadily at the roasted chicken in the shop. The chicken had just been cooked, and the oil on its skin looked fragrant and crispy, making it irresistible. There is no natural food in the interstellar space, and people only drink nutrient liquids to fill their stomachs. A roasted chicken like this, Lanxi couldn't resist the temptation of fragrance at all. She wants to eat roasted chicken but she doesn't have money. Lanxi knows that there is a pawn shop in town, and according to the information found, the pawn shop can exchange things for silver. She took out another stone from the nanospace as a gemstone and decided to pawn it at the pawn shop. Arriving at the pawn shop, Lanxi curiously walked in. "I want to be something," Lanxi said to the shopkeeper in the store. Upon hearing this, the shopkeeper looked up at Lanxi and asked calmly, "What do you want to be?" Lanxi took out a stone. "We have opened a new article and hope everyone can support us." End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Meeting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Meeting. The shopkeeper, who was originally not interested, immediately showed a surprised expression when he saw the stone in Lanxi's hand. "Are you going to pawn this gem?" Lanxi nodded calmly and handed the stone to the shopkeeper. After the shopkeeper took it over, he couldn't put it down and checked it again. He asked Lanxi, "Should we live or die?" Lanxi's face remained calm and said, "Just die." The shopkeeper showed a joyful expression and asked tentatively, "How about I give you 10 taels of silver for this gem?" Lanxi doesn't know the market here, nor does she know whether 10 taels of silver are high or low. Her mental strength told her that the shopkeeper was dishonest and his mental fluctuations were very large. So, Lanxi didn't answer the shopkeeper's words, but silently looked at him. The shopkeeper was seen feeling a bit guilty, so he changed his mind and said, "Then let's just have 100 taels. Lanxi saw his fickleness and directly used her spiritual power to suppress it. The shopkeeper was suppressed by his mental energy, and his head began to ache. He resisted the pressure and honestly said, 500 taels, we can't have more. If you take it to the county town, you may get a higher price. But here, it can only be at this price." Lanxi felt that his mental strength was stable, so she gladly accepted the price. She handed the gemstone to the shopkeeper and had no intention of exchanging such stones in the future. Rare things are precious, as too many stones can attract attention when exposed. Lanxi successfully exchanged for silver as she wished, and she calmly left the pawn shop with 500 taels of cash. The shopkeeper watched as Lanxi lifted 500 taels of silver lightly and left. Thinking of the scene of being suppressed before, his heart was filled with shock. This girl is not easy. After leaving the pawn shop, Lanxi used her mental energy to find an empty alley and entered it. She put the silver money in her hand into the space. When she came out of the alley again, holding 1 or 2 silver coins in her hand, she walked eagerly towards the place where the roasted chicken was sold. Selling roasted chicken. A fragrant and big roasted chicken. Lanxi urgently bought roasted chicken. Smelling the aroma of the chicken, she couldn't help but walk down the street and start tearing apart the chicken pieces to taste. At the moment of eating roasted chicken, Lanxi felt unbelievable. It smells good, eat well. The ancient cuisine is unparalleled. After eating such things, the nutrient solution becomes tasteless. Lanxi couldn't help but think about food. If she could learn the cuisine here and return to the interstellar world, interstellar people will definitely not miss such delicious food. At that time, she can become a foodie in the interstellar world, conquering the world with delicious food. Lanxi was fantasizing about conquering the world with delicious food after returning to the interstellar world, when she suddenly felt a strong natural force moving towards the town. After absorbing such a strong source of power, will the fruit recover some energy? Lanxi thought. For the sake of this source of power, Lanxi waited in the town for half an hour. After half an hour, a carriage slowly drove towards the town. Lanxi used her spiritual power to explore the carriage and found a seriously injured young man lying inside. The box next to the young man was emitting a strong source of power. What is in the box? Lanxi became interested in the box and was thinking about how to get it when she heard the young man in the carriage say to his coachman, "Go to the clinic." The young coachman drove his carriage straight to the town clinic. Lanxi used her mental strength to examine his injury and found an arrow inserted into his heart. The arrow is only 2 millimeters away from the position of the heart. Despite being injured like this, he can still stay awake. This person has good willpower, and Lanxi looks at him with admiration. Whether it was for the things in the box or curious about the medical level of the world, she quietly followed suit. The carriage quickly arrived at the clinic. After the driver got off the carriage, he entered the clinic and lit a token. The people in the clinic immediately ran out in fear and carried the people on the carriage inside. Lanxi found a remote place and leaned against the corner of the medical clinic, using her mental energy to observe the situation inside. "Doctor, our general has an arrow in his chest. Please find a way to remove it," said the coachman, who was also a young general, anxiously to everyone in the clinic. The doctors in the clinic respected the identity of the injured and carefully examined their condition. After a while, they looked worried and said to the young general, "The arrow is too close to the general's heart, and we are not sure if we can remove it." The young general was anxious and said, "Is there no other way?" After the general was hit by an arrow, they rushed to the nearest clinic, but they didn't expect the doctors here to be unable to retrieve the arrow. "What should I do?" The seriously injured young man heard the doctor's words and made his own decision. "Force the arrow out." The doctor in the clinic was anxious and said, "General, if you forcefully remove the arrow, it will damage your heart and you will not be able to stop the bleeding in case of a blood avalanche." The seriously injured general endured the pain and said calmly, "Both vertically and horizontally are dead. Take out the arrow first, I won't blame you. You can take action." "Ah." The doctors shook their heads and sighed. Even if they knew the outcome, they could only follow the general's orders. Unfortunately, such a young general hasn't gotten married yet. The doctors in the clinic were preparing to draw arrows for the general, and Lanxi quietly sneaked up to the general's side. Fu Xiang unexpectedly looked at Lanxi, who suddenly appeared, not even noticing her approach. What a lightweight body technique. Fu Xiang looked deeply at Lanxi and asked calmly and wisely, "What can I do for you, Mississippi?" Lanxi looked admiringly at the man in front of her, his eyes devoid of dying despair, only a calm expression on his face. "You're about to die," Lanxi calmly stated. Fu Xiang nodded, knowing that at the moment when the arrow could not be removed, he knew his own ending. Lanxi saw his calm face and knew she was going to die. There was no ripple on her face, and she couldn't help but give him a little hope. "I can save you." Fu Xiang looked at Lanxi calmly. Did she come to save him? He looked at Lanxi and knew at a glance that her identity was not simple. He is about to die, and it doesn't matter about Lanxi's identity. Lanxi didn't care how Fu Xiang guessed about herself. She pointed to the box next to Fu Xiang and said, "If I save you, you need to give me the things in this box." Upon hearing this, Fu Xiang said meaningfully, "Do you know what's inside the box?" "Ginseng." Lanxi detected it with her spiritual power. Fu Xiang picked up the box and handed it to Lanxi, saying, "A 1,000-year-old ginseng is worth a life. I agree to trade it with you." Lanxi happily took the box and said, "Okay, let them draw the arrow for you first." Fu Xiang is not afraid of Lanxi taking the box and running away. With Yi Feng present, if she deceives people, Yi Feng will not let her leave alive. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Repair Liquid Divine Medicine. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Repair Liquid equals Divine Medicine. The doctors in the clinic were ready to draw the arrows, and when they turned around, everyone noticed the presence of Lanxi. "Who are you?" The coachman and young general, Yi Feng, looked at Lanxi with caution. Seeing the ginseng box in her arms, his gaze became even more unfriendly. "This ginseng is used to save the general's life. Lanxi smiled and said, I'll talk about who I am later. The top priority now is to save your master's life. Yifeng glanced at the prepared doctors and could only set Lanxi aside. Fu Xiang looked deeply at Lanxi, hoping that she wouldn't let him down. In the clinic, the doctors were trembling in taking action on Fu Xiang. The only thing Fu Xiang could do was to stay awake. Lanxi stood silently on the side waiting. Watching several doctors operating on Fu Xiang, she sighed at the backwardness of ancient medical techniques. 1, 2, 3, pull. The doctor bravely pulled out the arrow from Fu Xiang's chest, and Lanxi frowned. When she saw the arrow pulled out, a piece of heart flesh appeared on it. Lanxi. How can a person survive by drawing an arrow like this? Sure enough, Fu Xiang's heart immediately spewed out blood like spring water. General. General Yifeng threw himself sadly beside Fu Xiang. Everyone in the clinic knew the fate of Fu Xiang's inevitable death when they saw this scene. Such wounds, even if the great Luo immortal descended to earth, could not be saved. Helpless. Just when everyone thought Fu Xiang would die, Lanxi took out a blue repair solution. Ignoring everyone's expressions, she rudely stuffed the repair solution into Fu Xiang's mouth. This is a top-notch repair solution. Even a broken body can be repaired with just one tube. What did you feed our general? Yifeng asked with a ferocious expression, wanting to throw Lanxi away from Fu Xiang's side. He stepped forward and grabbed Lanxi's hand, just a flick. No shaking. Yifeng. Can she be an ordinary person with such a stable chassis? This person must be a spy. Yifeng was about to kill Lanxi when Fu Xiang immediately spoke up, stop. General, she's a spy. Yifeng said anxiously to Fu Xiang. After speaking, he realized something and turned his head to look at Fu Xiang in a daze. General, how are you? The tone was unbelievable. The doctors in the clinic were also shocked. They witnessed the healing of the wound with their own eyes, and the speed of healing was miraculous. Divine medicine. This is a divine medicine. Only divine medicines in this world can instantly heal wounds that pierce through the heart. Thinking that such a divine medicine came from Lanxi's hand, their eyes towards Lanxi suddenly became scorching. Lanxi saw their scorching eyes and immediately thought of a wise saying here. A man is not guilty, he harbors a grudge. In ancient times, her repair fluid was priceless. Lanxi looked at Fu Xiang and said, I have cured you. The ginseng in this box belongs to me now. Next, I want to discuss another transaction with you. Fu Xiang stood up leisurely from the bed. He miraculously examined his body, confirmed that his chest injury was healed, and then slowly tidied up his clothes. With great interest, he asked Lanxi, what other deal do you want to make with me? Lanxi solemnly said to Fu Xiang, I want to use another divine medicine in exchange for you doing something for me. Fu Xiang put on his clothes and looked at Lanxi with a smile, Miss, what do you want me to do for you? I assure you, today's miracle medicine is a secret, and this matter cannot be publicized. Fu Xiang was taken aback and instantly understood Lanxi's concerns. He smiled and nodded. Even if she doesn't say anything about today's situation, he will still block the news. Lanxi glanced at the doctors and said, they must also keep their mouths shut. Fu Xiang looked at the doctors calmly. The doctors were quick-witted and immediately promised, we will keep our mouths shut and not let anyone know about the existence of the elixir. Fu Xiang solemnly said to Lanxi, General, I guarantee that no one can leak your divine medicine without my permission. Lanxi nodded to express understanding, but she was not foolish enough to completely believe him. However, with his assurance, it's better than nothing. Lanxi took out a repair solution from her sleeve and handed it to Fu Xiang. Several doctors eagerly looked at the repair solution in Fu Xiang's hand. Throughout their lives, being able to witness the efficacy of divine medicines with their own eyes has greatly satisfied their spirits. Fu Xiang curiously checked the repair solution and casually said to me, Lanxi, this divine medicine is different from the one just now, isn't it? The color is a bit lighter. Lanxi twitched. What a look. The color difference between the top quality repair solution and the advanced repair solution was only a little bit. At that time, he was almost dead and could still see so clearly. Lanxi said truthfully, what I'm feeding you is top-grade divine medicine, this one is of superior quality. Fu Xiang looked meaningfully at Lanxi. Lanxi said seriously, there is only one top-quality divine medicine, and you won't have it after drinking it. The top-quality divine medicine is also very good. She found that in ancient times, there was no need to use top-quality repair fluids. Advanced repair fluid can cure the injuries here. Fu Xiang looked at the medicine in his hand and asked, how effective is this divine medicine? As long as there is a breath, it can be saved, Lanxi promised. Fu Xiang thought of the speed of his wound healing and asked, can a broken hand or foot be cured? The doctor in the clinic breathed lightly upon hearing this. They raised their ears to listen to Lanxi's answer. Lanxi said, this medicine cannot revive the limbs. If a limb is broken, it must be retrieved and the original limb must be repaired within 12 hours. The wound can still heal. If a limb is damaged or lost, the elixir cannot be repaired. Everyone in the clinic was shocked upon hearing this. Although it may not be possible to regenerate limbs like in mythology, being able to retrieve limbs is also quite incredible. Fu Xiang was satisfied and put away the repair solution. He also wanted to bargain with Lanxi, saying, I promised your request before on the condition that it was top-quality divine medicine. Now this medicine is of superior quality, should you try some more? Lanxi frowned. Is he taking an inch? Fu Xiang noticed Lanxi's displeasure and said to her, take a step to speak. Lanxi gave him a deep glance before following him to the backyard of the clinic. Upon seeing this, Yi Feng wisely separated the people in the clinic and left Fu Xiang and Lanxi alone. In the courtyard, Fu Xiang opened the door and said straightforwardly, Miss, isn't she from Dahong Kingdom? Although the time spent together was short, Fu Xiang still noticed that Lanxi was out of place. Her temperament, demeanor, tone, and way of dealing with people are vastly different from the girls of Dahong Kingdom. Of course, this is not a custom of the enemy country either. She was able to take out divine medicine, and Fu Xiang felt that she was very mysterious. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Energy Absorption. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Energy Absorption. Lanxi didn't expect Fu Xiang's observation to be so careful. She admitted, that's right, what do you want? Fu Xiang felt Lanxi's hostility and explained, Miss, don't misunderstand. I have no ill intentions towards you. You made a deal with me before, and this time, I will make a deal with you. May I hear its details? Lanxi said. Fu Xiang first introduced himself. I am Fu Xiang, the Grand General of Dahong Kingdom, and the legitimate son of the Protectorate. Nice to meet you. Lanxi continued. Fu Xiang smiled at Lanxi and said, are you new here, girl? Do you have registered residence? What? Lanxi hesitated for a moment. She recalled the information Guerre sent to her, which reminded her of such things as registered residence. If there is no registered residence and road guide, she is a black family. Interstellar good citizen. Lanxi. Lanxi didn't know how long she would stay in this world. It would be inconvenient if she didn't have registered residence. You suddenly mentioned this to me, are you trying to help me? Lanxi raised her eyebrows and looked at Fu Xiang. Fu Xiang nodded, I will help you get your registered residence, and you can give me some magic medicine. Don't worry, I won't be insatiably demanding from you. Not only that, I will also take the initiative to help you solve the hidden dangers of the divine medicine, ensuring that no one comes to you because of the divine medicine. Lanxi thought about the consequences of the revelation of the divine medicine, and after some consideration, she agreed to trade with Fu Xiang. As far as she knows, in order to live a peaceful and joyful life in this world, it is best to climb up to the noble status of Fu Xiang. In this way, she can find him for whatever she wants to do in the future. Lanxi handed Fu Xiang 3 pieces of repair fluid and said, "These are 3 magic drugs. One of them will pay you to block the information from me, and the other 2 will serve as the reward for you to help me handle registered residents." Fu Xiang smiled and received the magic medicine from Lanxi. He took a look at Lanxi's cuff and asked calmly, "Where do you want to leave your registered residence?" Ah! Lanxi had never thought of such a problem. For her, registered residence is the same everywhere. Fu Xiang recommended to Lanxi, "The nearby Pingling city is good. It has outstanding people and a beautiful land, and you will like it. My fief is right there. You left your registered residence in Pingling city. If anything happens in the future, I can help you." Lanxi looked at Fu Xiang with suspicion. She always felt that he had ulterior motives and that he would take the initiative to help her. Fu Xiang saw that Lanxi didn't believe it and explained, "I helped you. You paid the divine medicine as compensation, and I received the divine medicine. You solved the problem, why not do it?" Lanxi understood clearly that it was for the divine medicine. That's also good. If something happens in the future, having him at the forefront will save her a lot of trouble. Okay. Lanxi agreed. Fu Xiang hooked the corner of his mouth. Lanxi picked up the ginseng box and shook it, saying to Fu Xiang, "I have something else to do. Let me know when you return to Pingling city, and I will go with you on the road." Fu Xiang nodded. According to his previous itinerary, he had to leave this small town after drawing an arrow here. Now that he has promised Lanxi to block the news of the divine medicine, he must stay to deal with the hidden dangers in the hospital. Let the people in the clinic keep their mouths shut. After finishing the transaction with Fu Xiang, Lanxi found a remote place with a ginseng box and jumped onto the roof. After confirming that there was no one around, she slowly opened the ginseng box. In the box, a 1,000-year-old ginseng plant lies inside. The quality of ginseng is very good, with complete ginseng whiskers. The entire ginseng plant emits a fragrance of ginseng. Lanxi took a sip of the ginseng fragrance and immediately felt energetic. What a pure natural origin. Lanxi is very happy. She summoned Guo and let her absorb the natural power of ginseng. Fruit, collect the origin of nature. Guo, who has been silent in the Lanxi Shi Hai, responds. Received. A burst of blue light was emitted from Lanxi's body, and the light was enveloped in the ginseng. The ginseng in the box was instantly absorbed the essence, slowly shrunk, and finally became a dry branch. Collection completed, fruit has restored 1,000th of its energy. Lanxi checked the energy reserves of Guo and found that the entry rate of Guo's reserves was only slightly green. A 1,000-year-old ginseng has only filled a little energy reserve. Lanxi held the box in a daze, wanting to fill the energy value of the fruit. She didn't know how many natural resources and treasures she needed. In the clinic, Yifeng walked up to Fu Xiang's side. "General, that woman's identity is suspicious. Do you need to go down and investigate?" Yifeng asked Fu Xiang for advice. Fu Xiang stopped him and said, "No need, as long as she's not from the country of Mabe, it's not a big problem." Yifeng was confused. How did the general know that she wasn't from the kingdom of Mabe? Thinking of the elixir in Lanxi's hand, Yifeng asked, "What about the elixir in her hand?" "It's better to control such things in your own hands. Otherwise, if the enemy wins, they will become enemy assets instead." Fu Xiang smiled lightly and said, "She has promised me to come back to Pingling city with me." Yifeng widened his eyes, did the general accept women? Thinking of Lanxi's appearance, although she is not dressed well, her features are very delicate and she is a great beauty. Fu Xiang knew that Yi Feng had misunderstood when he saw her like this. He gave Yi Feng a bad pat on the head and said, just asking her to settle down in Pingling City. What are you thinking? Oh. Yi Feng let out a faint sigh of regret in his tone. Fu Xiang said seriously to him, you must not force her to take out the divine medicine. After she settles in Pingling City, focus on taking care of her. Yes. Yi Feng understood. Let's first establish a good relationship with her, so that when we need the divine medicine in the future, we can speak up. He understood. Fu Xiang continued to command, please remind the people in the clinic to keep their mouths shut about the miraculous medicine. They drew an arrow for this general, which is also a credit. May I ask what reward they need? Yes. Yi Feng replied again. After handling the affairs of the medical clinic, we will set off back to Pingling City. After Fu Xiang finished speaking, he turned to look for the figure of Lanxi. Lanxi sits on the roof to absorb the essence of the Millennium Ginseng. She doesn't hear the conversation between Fu Xiang and Yi Feng. After she brought the dried ginseng into the space, she jumped off the roof. Miss, you have great skills. Fu Xiang came over from the yard and happened to see Lanxi jump down from the roof. My name is Lanxi. Lanxi turned a deaf ear to Fu Xiang's praise and directly introduced herself. Me. Fu Xiang raised his eyebrows, this surname is not commonly seen in the kingdom of Dahong. Lanxi didn't want to talk too much about her own affairs, so she changed the topic and asked, when will we set off for Pingling City? Fu Xiang said, I have already completed my tasks here. If Miss Me has nothing else to do, she can set off now. Please provide more support, favorites, and support recommended tickets. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Pure Grain. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Pure Grain, let's go. Lanxi was carefree and alone, ready to leave at any time. Fu Xiang looked at Lanxi, who was cheerful all over, and said he could leave without worrying about his own safety. His warm eyes flickered. With such a personality, she is indeed not from here. Fu Xiang speculated that Lanxi's skills must be good, and she must have an unknown trump card in private. Otherwise, she wouldn't have followed her so confidently. Outside the clinic, Yi Feng was driving a carriage, with Fu Xiang and Lanxi sitting in the carriage. A group of 3, under the watchful eye of several doctors, slowly left the town and headed towards Pingling City. Fu Xiang was seriously injured when he arrived and his life was not long. Now back, there is an additional Lanxi in the carriage, and Fu Xiang has regained his strength from his heyday. Thinking of this, Fu Xiang couldn't help but ask about the divine medicine. Can your divine medicine still heal hidden wounds? The dark wounds left by his years of warfare also healed after taking the divine medicine. Lanxi sat on the carriage and looked at Fu Xiang clearly, divine medicine can repair all injuries to the body, including hidden injuries. Fu Xiang's heart became eager again, and he tentatively asked, can the divine medicine be mass-produced? Lanxi looked at Fu Xiang speechlessly and said nonsense seriously, do you know how many rare spiritual medicines are needed to make such a magical potion? Do you think those spiritual medicines are cabbage? Still in mass production? Dream it. But I can also understand that he is a general and wants to use repair fluid on the battlefield, right? These repair fluids are inventory in her space and will run out once used up. She cannot take out a large amount for him to consume. Lanxi's expression made Fu Xiang realize that he was daydreaming. Thinking of the incredible nature of the divine medicine, he could also understand its rarity. He did not expect divine medicine to be supplied to the battlefield, but asked, can divine medicine treat eye diseases? Lanxi said casually, it depends on what kind of eye disease it is. Without eyeballs, divine medicine cannot be made out of nothing. If you just can't see, taking divine medicine can still restore your eyesight. Repair fluid can repair myopia, presbyopia, as well as damage to nerves and soft tissues. Fu Xiang's mood suddenly improved after listening to Mi Lanxi's words. Mi Lanxi glanced at him. Is there someone around him who has an eye disease? The carriage quickly headed towards Pingling City. On the way, no matter how Fu Xiang subtly manipulated Mi Lanxi's words, she did not disclose any information. This gives Fu Xiang a feeling of being on par with his opponents. Make him more certain of the mystery of Mi Lanxi. It takes a day's drive from the town to Pingling City, and Mi Lanxi leaned against the car window, propped up her chin and looked out of the car, feeling bored. It was early autumn at this time, and outside the car window was a vast rice field with a golden color and a fragrance of rice. Mi Lanxi looked at this scene and couldn't help but marvel. What is that? Mi Lanxi pointed to a rice field and asked. Fu Xiang glanced at her, concealing his deep exploration, and said to her, "This is rice. Anyone knows it's rice." Mi Lanxi. She searched for information about rice in her brain and quickly found out that it was food. So much grain knowing it was food, Mi Lanxi's eyes lit up. If she also has so much food, will she not need to drink nutrient solution after returning to the interstellar space? How can I get these rice grains? Mi Lanxi asked. Fu Xiang ignored Mi Lanxi's uniqueness and said to her, there are two ways to obtain it. The first method is to use money to buy. This is the border, and the price of grain is higher than that of the Central Plains. The rice in the paddy fields is usually sold by grain merchants for 31 per kilogram, and there are also purchase restrictions. The second option is to buy and cultivate your own land. The good farmland in Pingling City has a yield of about 3 stones per acre. If you want to get more food, buying and farming is the best way. Mi Lanxi is very persistent about food. Thinking that she won't be able to return to interstellar space temporarily, why not do something she is interested in here? If she learned how to farm here and brought some seeds when she returned, would she be able to plant rice in the interstellar space? Thinking of the scene of rice appearing in the interstellar sky, Mi Lanxi couldn't wait to own land. How can I buy good farmland? Mi Lanxi asked. Don't bother the second master about anything. She is unfamiliar with the place here, and Fu Xiang is willing to help others. Why don't you ask him clearly? Fu Xiang patiently introduced to Mi Lanxi, Pingling City is a border fortress, and the fertile land here is generally controlled by the nobility and not sold. Except for fertile fields, the grain yield of medium and lower grade fields is not high. If you want to purchase good farmland, I can act on your behalf. You just need to pay for the purchase of good farmland with the divine medicine. Fu Xiang could see that Mi Lanxi still had divine medicine in her hand. Mi Lanxi looked at Fu Xiang meaningfully, feeling that he was overly enthusiastic. It turned out that he was thinking about her repair fluid. She still has 1,000 pieces of top quality repair fluid and 2,000 to 3,000 pieces of advanced repair fluid. It's okay to give him some more of these stocks. I still have 10 divine medicines left here. Can you see how much good land you can give me? Mi Lanxi said in a showdown. 10 sticks. Fu Xiang didn't expect that Mi Lanxi still had so much inventory. Divine medicine is rare, and he began to measure its value with money in his heart. The divine medicine is against heaven, such a treasure has value but no market. Fu Xiang pondered for a moment. He didn't want to take advantage of Mi Lanxi, afraid that Mi Lanxi would leave him and run away. He said to Mi Lanxi, I'll give you 1,000 acres of good farmland, a farm. The fertile land in Pingling City is tense, and I can only give you so much. In addition, I will also give you 100 tenant farmers, all of whom are skilled farmers. You don't have to worry about those good fields being abandoned, they will help you take care of everything. The value of these things still cannot compare to your 10 divine medicines. From now on, when you settle down here, you can come to me for anything you encounter. The government and I are both your backstage and network. Mi Lanxi listened and agreed to trade with him. Although she doesn't feel like she needs to reach his level, for the sake of his sincerity, that's it. You give me the land deed, and I'll give you the divine medicine, said Lanxi. She didn't have a bundle around her, so she couldn't just take out 10 divine medicines and hand them to him. She doesn't want to expose her nanospace. Fu Xiang did not refuse. After a nod, he glanced at Lanxi's sleeve. Lanxi didn't know what he was thinking in his heart. She is very happy to think that she will have 1,000 acres of land. These 1,000 acres are all pure land, without any pollution. In the future, she can plant whatever she wants. It's simply not too wonderful. Lanxi's good mood persisted until she entered Pingling City. More support, favorites, recommended tickets, and more. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Unstoppable Cuisine. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Unstoppable Cuisine. When the three of them entered Pingling City, it was already late at night. The streets of Pingling City were quiet, and when Fu Xiang returned to the city, he did not disturb anyone. The carriage was driving on the quiet street, and they arrived at the general's mansion unobstructed. "Miss me, it's getting late. Let's stay in the general's mansion for one night tonight. Tomorrow I will take you to apply for registered residence and visit the fertile fields and farms by the way." Fu Xiang asked Lanxi nodded. "Anyway, she doesn't have a place to live, it's the same where she lives." Fu Xiang was surprised to see Lanxi agree. She didn't seem to know that a single woman was not suitable to stay in a man's mansion. He did not expose this matter, but directly brought Lanxi into the mansion. Yi Feng silently followed behind them. Fu Xiang returned to the mansion, and the butler immediately welcomed him out. "Young master, I heard you were shot by an arrow. How is your injury?" The butler looked Fu Xiang up and down, and only breathed a sigh of relief after confirming that Fu Xiang was fine. "Who killed 1,000 swords? It's rumored that you will definitely die, young master, causing me to worry all day." After the butler finished complaining, he finally noticed Lanxi beside Fu Xiang. Lanxi is incredibly beautiful and slender. If it weren't for the coarse linen on her body, standing next to Fu Xiang would be a perfect match. "Young master, is this?" The butler looked at Lanxi with surprise. "Does the young master know that the iron tree is blooming and he has taken the woman home?" Fu Xiang is speechless. Why does the butler have the same expression? He introduced Lanxi to the butler and said, "This is Miss Me, my savior. Please send someone to tidy up a guest room for Miss Me to stay." The butler replied happily, "Yes, I'll send someone to tidy up the guest rooms now." Lanxi looked at the happy butler inexplicably. If she had traveled to modern times and read ancient romance novels in modern times, she would know how cliché the scene of the life-saving benefactor moving into the general's mansion is. Lanxi didn't know how much surprise she had brought to the butler when she moved into the general's mansion. After the butler sent someone to tidy up the guest house, he returned to serve Fu Xiang. Fu Xiang led Lanxi and Yi Feng towards the dining hall and said to the butler following him, "Old butler, prepare your meal." They ran all the way without eating for a day and were all hungry. "Yes." The butler respectfully responded and stepped down to arrange. After Fu Xiang took Lanxi and Yi Feng into the dining hall, the butler's speed was very fast. Not long after, the servants brought a table of food. Lanxi sat quietly beside Fu Xiang, dazzled as the delicious food was brought to her. "What are these all? Can we all eat it? The offspring of sea beasts. What is this?" Lanxi asked, pointing to the cubs of sea beasts. Fu Xiang's eyes flickered and he calmly said, "Braised fish." Yi Feng looked at Lanxi strangely. She doesn't know fish. Lanxi twitched her mouth. Fish. She knows that in the information, fish are animals that grow in water and can be eaten. Smelling the fragrance, it must be delicious. Fu Xiang noticed her expression and carefully introduced the dishes on the table to her. This is dompa braised pork, which is braised with half fat and half thin pork and ingredients. This is roast duck. This is a boiled sliced cold chicken. This is pigeon hot. Sour and spicy white woad. These are pastries and fruits. Lanxi followed Fu Xiang's introduction and watched the delicious food with all its colors, aromas, and flavors presented in front of her. In addition, she had not eaten anything for a day, and her stomach began to rumble. Upon hearing the sound of her stomach, Lanxi blushed with embarrassment. Fu Xiang smiled and said, "Let's eat." The maid next to her placed a bowl of rice in front of Lanxi. Lanxi saw Yi Feng start eating rice, and she followed his example and started eating. The white rice is fragrant and soft, and the taste in the mouth is soft and delicate. Lanxi is instantly conquered. Is this rice made from the rice we see during the day? Lanxi couldn't help but ask. Upon hearing this, Yi Feng looked at her incredulously and said, "Where did you come from? You don't even know this common sense." Lanxi instantly shut up. Fu Xiang glanced at Yi Feng and gave Lanxi a piece of dompa braised pork. "Taste it, it's delicious." Lan doesn't want to be shy, so she picks up dompa braised pork and eats it. As soon as the meat was taken in, Lanxi's eyes lit up. A piece of golden, soft and sticky meat was bitten into her mouth, fat but not greasy, with a strong and mellow taste. The delicious taste stimulated her taste buds. This taste is even more delicious than the roasted chicken she has eaten before. There were so many delicious foods in ancient times. Lanxi tasted dompa braised pork and picked up braised fish. The taste of fish is fresh and tender, with fragrant meat and crispy skin, which greatly increases people's appetite. Another new experience. Lanxi couldn't wait to taste the other delicacies on the table, not letting go of any of them. Yi Feng was shocked as she watched Lanxi sweep the dishes on the table. Is she a starving ghost reincarnation? After quickly finishing his meal, he sat in his original position and watched Lanxi eat. Fu Xiang sat beside Lanxi with tolerance all along. After she finished eating, she patiently asked, "Are you full? Do you still need to serve?" Lanxi shook her head. The taste of these delicacies may be irresistible, but they lack energy. After eating, one can only have a full stomach. Although Lanxi eats quickly, her movements are elegant. Now that she is full of wine and food, her wiping of the corners of her mouth shows even more temperament. Such Lanxi made Fu Xiang and Yi Feng even more curious about her identity. Where exactly do people come from to have such temperament? Fu Xiang saw Lanxi put down her chopsticks and began instructing the butler to take her down to rest. Lanxi didn't plan to stay long either. She stood up and thanked Fu Xiang, and happily followed the butler to the guest house. After Lanxi's figure disappeared from the dining room, Yi Feng said sorrowfully to Fu Xiang, "General, really don't you need to investigate her background?" Fu Xiang stopped him and said, "She's not easy. Don't act rashly. Currently, she has no ill intentions towards us. Just keep an eye on her movements. Be careful if you do too much and get upset when she finds out, then leave here. I have a feeling that she can bring us more surprises." Yi Feng looked at Fu Xiang inexplicably, feeling that he had no defense against Lanxi. Fu Xiang knew what Yi Feng was worried about, and he couldn't explain his feelings towards Lanxi to Yi Feng himself. "Deep down in my heart, I am always willing to believe her. Don't worry, I won't take down my guard against her. She won't harm me," Fu Xiang assured Yi Feng. Yi Feng remained silent, unsure if he believed Fu Xiang's assurance. Fu Xiang saw that he was obsessed with this matter, so he quickly moved the topic away from Lanxi's body and his expression became serious. "Have you found out? Has Han colluded with the enemy?" End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Defense Energy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Defense Energy. Han Zhe, his deputy general. The young master of Wushuan Marquis' mansion. 3 years ago, he was transferred from Hongdu to the border and appointed as the deputy general. He worked with Han Zhe for 3 years, thinking he was just being narrow-minded, but he didn't expect him to dare to collude with the enemy. When it came to this matter, Yi Feng became angry and said indignantly, "The evidence of Han's collusion with the enemy is conclusive. He is the one who shot arrows at you outside the city." Han Zhe really wanted Fu Xiang's life. If it weren't for Fu Xiang encountering Lanxi, it would probably have been quite unlucky. Fu Xiang squinted his eyes and pondered, "I don't know if this collaboration with the enemy was Han Zhe's personal intention or the idea of the Marquis Wushan's mansion." "General, what should we do next?" Yi Feng asked. There was a woman in the Wushan Marquis' mansion who was a concubine in the palace, and it was not easy for them to get rid of Han. Fu Xiang said calmly, "First, I will write to your majesty." "What should be done with Han Zhe?" "It depends on your majesty's intentions. They should not startle the snake with grass for the time being." Although Yi Feng was unwilling, he was powerless. Lanxi followed the butler into the guest house. The guest house has been cleaned up by servants and everything is complete. The butler assigned a clever maid to Lanxi, and only after confirming that everything was thorough, did she leave the courtyard. "Miss, servant Qingxia is the maid who serves you. Do you want to take a bath now?" Qingxia asked respectfully. They all know that Lanxi was brought back by the general from outside, and both the general and the butler value her very much. They dare not neglect her. Now with Lanxi's dusty appearance, Qingxia is the first to ask this question. Lanxi looked at herself and smelled the smell on her body, feeling that it was almost rotten. The clothes here don't have constant temperature and cleaning functions, so she's a bit uncomfortable. "Take a shower," Lanxi said to Qingxia. "Please follow me." Qingxia walked towards the bathroom with Lanxi. Before entering the bathroom, Lanxi saw a group of maids rushing in with various things. "What are they doing?" Lanxi asked curiously. "Of course I'll take care of the girl's bath," Qingxia said naturally. Lanxi entered the bathroom and curiously looked at the things they had placed. Exquisite gauze skirt, beautiful embroidery, soft silk. Is this the legendary silk? A snow-white bath towel, luxurious jewelry. For Lanxi, these things are simply works of art. Wearing artworks on your body. Lanxi always feels fantastic. "You put down your things and go out, I'll take a shower myself," Lanxi said to a group of maids. She is not used to having so many people serve her. In interstellar space, in situations like this, they usually use robots. The maidservants had a good upbringing, and they bowed to Lanxi before respectfully retreating. Lanxi played around in the bathroom for half an hour, and when she came out, she amazed a group of maids waiting at the door. The young girl in front of her has a beautiful facial features, a delicate face like a wandering immortal, and her crystal-clear skin appears spotless. The maidservants did not expect that after Lanxi was washed clean, she would be so unique in her gorgeous dress. No wonder she can have the general take her back to the mansion. "The girl is so beautiful," Qingxia exclaimed sincerely. Lanxi generously displayed her beauty and happily said to Qingxia, "It's the beauty of clothes and jewelry. When she was dressing and combing her hair in the bathroom just now, she put in a lot of effort and even referred to the information here to dress neatly." Qingxia saw her cheerful appearance and liked it very much. She said to Lanxi, "Miss, are you going to rest?" Lanxi replied. Since crossing over, she hasn't been able to rest well yet. She urgently wants to know where she will sleep tonight. "Miss, please come with me." Qingxia took Lanxi to the dormitory in the guest house. The decoration of the dormitory is clearly temporary and exquisitely arranged. "Are your courtyards decorated so luxurious?" Lanxi asked admiringly as she looked at the things in the dormitory. Qingxia covered her mouth and chuckled, "It's not like that. It's because the general values the girl and has the butler prepare everything. Mi Lanxi is very satisfied, this Fu Xiang can handle it. She looked at the entire dormitory and said to Qingxia, why don't you go down and rest? If there's anything, I'll call you. Qingxia bowed to Mi Lanxi and said, I'll sleep in the next room. Miss, if you have anything, please call me. Okay. Mi Lanxi smiled. Qingxia slowly left Mi Lanxi's dormitory and closed the door as she went out. There was only Mi Lanxi left in the room. She looked around the room and said to Gui'er in the spirit sea, the house here has no defense at all. When I sleep until midnight, will someone come to assassinate me? The electric sound of Gui'er rang out in Mi Lanxi's mind. Suggest she to activate defense and fall asleep. Mi Lanxi looked at the energy of the fruit. Activating defense will consume energy. Gui'er said. Gui'er can absorb solar energy here and convert it into ordinary energy. As long as there is no nuclear explosion, the defense system triggered by solar energy can resist the danger here. When I was rushing on the road during the day, Gui'er had already fully charged the solar cells. Mi Lanxi glanced at the battery reserve, which can be used for 3 months. Activate dual defense, with the first defense set in the dormitory and cover the entire dormitory with a defense shield. The second defense is set on the bed. If anyone touches the defense cover on the bed, you must wake me up, Mi Lanxi said to Gui'er. Okay. After opening the defense shield, Mi Lanxi fell asleep exhausted. She had been on the interstellar run for 10 days and 10 nights, and after arriving at this place, she had to drive the carriage for another day. She only felt tired when she relaxed now. Mi Lanxi fell into a deep sleep, and the transparent cover in the room was activated. If you don't look closely, you won't notice it at all. Late at night, a swift black shadow swept towards Mi Lanxi's courtyard. After observing the exterior of the courtyard for a while and confirming that Mi Lanxi had fallen asleep, Black Shadow quietly sneaked into the courtyard, trying to find a way to enter Mi Lanxi's room. The black figure planned to flip through the window, and when his hand touched the window edge, the transparent cover covering the room was immediately activated. Ka, a soft sound. The black figure was electrocuted by the defensive shield set up by Mi Lanxi, and fell straight to the ground. The first defensive shield set by Mi Lanxi has a low attack power, and the energy on the shield only numbs people for a few minutes. In a few minutes, the person who was hit will recover. As a newcomer, she doesn't want to kill anyone with just one move. Leave some room for error in everything. Yi Feng was unaware that Mi Lanxi's room was equipped with a defense shield. At this moment, he collapsed on the ground and looked at Mi Lanxi's room in terror. Witch. This witch knows magic. He originally thought she was mysterious and planned to come and test her at night. However, before he could enter the room, he was attacked by the lightning power that appeared out of thin air. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Night Attack. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Night Attack. The Hong Kingdom has been passed down for hundreds of years, but he has never heard of anyone who can use the power of lightning. Yi Feng had already seen the power of Mi Lanxi, and he decided not to startle the snake and planned to retreat. From now on, he must warn the general and stay away from this woman. In the quiet of the night, Yi Feng lay on the ground for a few minutes before reluctantly standing up. He glanced at Mi Lanxi's room with lingering fear and was about to leave when he suddenly felt someone sneaking into the general's mansion in the dark, running towards the direction of the guest house. Yi Feng's face stiffened as he thought of Han Zhe, who had been staring at the general's mansion. He quickly hid his figure. In the darkness, 5 people in black were moving on the roof, their figures light and agile. Not long after, they arrived at Mi Lanxi's yard. Yi Feng hid in the dark and looked at the people in black with confusion. Their goal is Mi Lanxi. Why? Thinking of the eerie situation outside Mi Lanxi's room, Yi Feng did not disturb them, but hid and watched it quietly. In the dark night, the people who sneaked in were unaware of Mi Lanxi's strangeness. Like Yifeng, they planned to enter Lanxi's room through the window. 5 people in black stood around the yard watching, while the other 2 walked to the window, intending to open the window for the last person. Yifeng stared at them nervously and excitedly. In the yard, 2 people in black stood on either side of the window, reaching out to grab it at the same time. Click, there's another light noise. The 2 black-clothed people who reached out to the window collapsed straight down. What's going on? The black-clad man, who was waiting for them to open the window and planned to jump into Lanxi's room, asked in a low voice. The 2 people lying on the ground had been electrocuted and couldn't speak at all. With their faces covered in black cloth, their exposed eyes looked in terror towards the direction of the window. It is the power of lightning. The 2 people standing guard in the yard saw them fall and quickly walked up to them, nervously asking, "What happened?" The person who was planning to jump into the room pointed to the window and said, "After they touched the window, they collapsed." One of the people in black heard it and watched the window on guard for a while, intending to take action to test it. The power of lightning reappears. The man in black was electrified all over his body, and at his last moment of paralysis, he forcefully opened the window. Bang, the window was opened. The man in black also fell to the ground. 2 other people in black quickly checked his body and found that he was not in life-threatening condition. They then shifted their attention to the room. Our goal is the people in the room. If we can't complete the task, we'll all die. So even if they know the danger, they must enter the room and get the people inside out. The black-clothed person knew the consequences of not completing the task. Seeing that the window had already been opened, the slender black-clothed person leaped forward and penetrated the room's power grid. She successfully jumped in, but fell to the ground of the room. Although she entered the room, she was heavily electrified. At this moment, she fell to the ground and couldn't move. "Xiao Wu, how are you?" The last person in black nervously asked about the situation inside. The black-clad man, known as Xiao Wu, has his tongue electrocuted. How can he respond to him? The surviving black-clad man saw that his companion was not in life-threatening condition and planned to lurk in the dark waiting for the opportunity. Yifeng, who was hiding in the dark, kept a close eye on their situation. After a series of events, he gained a certain understanding of Lanxi's room. Although this house is filled with lightning power, its power is not strong enough to kill people. As long as you can withstand the pain and break in before becoming paralyzed, the power of lightning cannot prevent those with intentions from entering. Yifeng tasted the feeling of being paralyzed once and knew that this kind of paralysis did not last long, and they would soon recover. To prevent them from escaping, Yifeng no longer hides. He emerged from the darkness and rushed towards the man in black in the yard. The man in black saw Yifeng coming towards him in a masked manner, thinking they were from the same path. He quickly spoke up and said, "Brother, is your target the people in the room? Let's work together and get the people inside first. How about that?" Yifeng wouldn't listen to him. He quickly took down the black-clothed man while the other black-clothed men had not yet recovered. After subduing the man in black, Yifeng pulled off the black scarf on his face. Several people in black saw Yifeng's face clearly, and their eyes showed a look of disappointment. "They're finished tonight." Yifeng snorted coldly and blew a whistle in the direction of the general's mansion patrol. Quickly, the patrolling guards walked towards this side. When the guards saw a group of people in black, they were about to warn when they heard Yifeng say, "Take them down." The guards saw Yifeng's face clearly and breathed a sigh of relief. When they brought the man in black down, they gave Yifeng a strange glance. I don't know what General Yi has a habit of wandering around in the general's mansion in black at night. Yifeng watched as the guards brought the 4 black-clothed men down before taking a hesitant glance at Lanxi's room. There is another man in black inside, how can he bring out the man in black inside? Yifeng thought of his purpose for tonight, why don't he just wait and see what happens? Why not let the black-clothed man inside take action instead of trying out Lanxi on his own? When something happens, he will have an excuse to excuse himself in front of the general, won't he? After Yifeng made the decision, he walked to the window and hid it. He carefully observed the situation inside through the gaps in the window. A few minutes passed quickly, and the person in black in the room slowly recovered. She knew that her companion had been captured by Yifeng, and the mission to ensure safety could no longer be completed. She had to kill the woman inside and complete the second plan. The man in black quickly got up from the ground and walked lightly towards Lanxi's bed. Yifeng was peeping by the window and saw that the man in black was going to kill Lanxi, but he didn't make a sound to remind him. The man in black arrived at Lanxi's bed and lightning struck, holding a dagger and cutting at Lanxi's throat. Yifeng took a deep breath when he saw this. Lanxi shouldn't have been killed like this, right? I feel a little regretful in my heart. What's going on? Just as the black-clothed man thought Lanxi was dying, a louder electric current rang out. Zzz, the person in black was struck by a powerful electric current, causing her to emit a fierce and intense light. After the strong light dissipated, black smoke emanated from the man in black, and there was a smell of burnt meat in the air. Bang! The man in black fell to the ground unconscious. At the same time, in Lanxi's brain, Guerre sounded an alarm. Alert! Alert! Encounter enemy attack, wake up quickly Cici. Lanxi woke up from a deep sleep in a second when she heard the alarm sound from Guerre. She opened her eyes, which were full of sharpness. She knew at a glance that the black-clothed man on the ground had lost his vital signs. When a person dies, there is no threat. Her spiritual power spreads around and soon she discovers Yifeng hidden outside the window. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Lanxi's stunning move. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Lanxi's stunning move. Yifeng was dressed in black and dressed like a man in black. Lanxi instinctively believed that Yifeng and the man in black were accomplices. Lanxi's eyes were slightly cold, and she quickly appeared in front of Yifeng with her swift ability under her feet. Yifeng looked surprised at the sudden appearance of Lanxi and marveled at her speed in his heart. At such a fast speed, it's almost teleportation. Lanxi didn't care what Yifeng thought, but she used her gravity power to penetrate her feet and directly lifted her leg and knee for Yifeng. Lanxi's knee pressed against Yifeng's belly, and Yifeng instantly flew backwards. Cough cough cough. Yifeng was pushed out by Lanxi a zhang away and fell to the ground, vomiting blood, holding his stomach and unable to get up. Lanxi did not intend to let go of Yifeng. The wind attribute ability appeared on her fingertips, and she condensed a wind blade. Another swift ability came to Yifeng's side, intending to use the wind blade to cut through his throat. Treat others in their own way. Just now she almost died under a throat cut, and now let Yifeng taste this too. Yifeng was suppressed by Lanxi and couldn't move. He watched in horror as Lanxi gathered a gust of wind blade to stab his throat. Misunderstanding. Yifeng quickly spoke out. Lanxi's expression was indifferent. When the wind blade was 5 millimeters away from Yifeng, Fu Xiang arrived in time. He saw a scene in the yard and quickly spoke up, "Miss me, leave someone under your command." Upon hearing Fu Xiang's voice, Lanxi stopped. Yifeng, who had passed through the gates of hell, crawled towards Fu Xiang. Lanxi lost her daytime smile and said expressionlessly, "He wants to kill me." Yifeng swore, "I don't have it." Fu Xiang frowned and looked at Yifeng's black clothes. Yifeng immediately explained, "I just wanted to test her, there was someone else who killed her. Those people have already been taken down by subordinates and are being locked in dungeons." Cough. After Yifeng finished explaining, he spat out another mouthful of blood. Lanxi retrieved the surveillance footage of Guerre and found that, as Yifeng had said, there was someone else who killed her. She gave Yi Feng a meaningful glance and turned back to her room. This time, she left Fu Xiang behind directly. Although Yi Feng did not take the initiative to kill her, he refused to save her. Such people should not be deeply acquainted. Yi Feng never expected that tonight's probing would cause him to lose many amazing resources in the future. Lanxi closed all the doors and windows of the room and said to Gui'er, I thought leaning against Fu Xiang would save a lot of trouble, but I didn't expect that because of him, trouble would first come to my door. She has already learned the ins and outs of tonight through the holographic image of Gui'er. Gui'er saw her like this and asked. She planned to find another partner to collaborate with me. Lanxi retrieved information from Pingling City and said to Gui'er, Fu Xiang is the most powerful person in Pingling City. If he gives up cooperating with him and finds someone else, others may not have his means. Han Zhe's power is also very good. Lanxi shook her head and said, he has a narrow-minded and ruthless heart. With his actions against me tonight, I won't have any relationship with him. What are Shi's plans? Lanxi whispered. Yi Feng's probing was not Fu Xiang's intention. I am willing to give him a chance. In the future, if Fu Xiang indulges his subordinates to attack her again, she will never handle it lightly like today. Gui'er understood what Lanxi meant, and she would pay attention to the movements of Pingling City. In the side courtyard of the general's mansion, Yi Feng has been carried to the room for treatment. General Ye's organs have ruptured and there is severe bleeding inside. I am powerless. Please prepare for his future affairs, said the doctor of the general's mansion to Fu Xiang. Yi Feng with regret. At this moment, Yi Feng was already in excruciating pain. He looked at Fu Xiang pleadingly and said, General, please give me a divine medicine. Fu Xiang's face was complicated, and he couldn't figure it out. Didn't he ask you not to act rashly? Why did you go and test her? Would such a mysterious person live alone in the general's mansion without any support? Yi Feng said wryly, I saw the general treating her differently and was eager to know her background, so I went to test her. After speaking, he quickly explained, General, I have no ill intentions towards her. Fu Xiang had a complex expression on his face. Ultimately, Yi Feng did such a foolish thing because he was worried about him. Since being shot by a secret arrow in the daytime, Fu Xiang has always carried the divine medicine on his body. At this moment, seeing that Yi Feng needed it, he walked forward and took out the divine medicine from his body and handed it to Yi Feng. Yi Feng said awkwardly, General, I don't even have the strength to open the plug now. The government doctor has been guarding Yi Feng's side all along. Although he has sentenced Yi Feng to death, why are the parties involved and the general not in a hurry? It seems that such a fatal injury is nothing more than that. Later, he heard Yi Feng mention the word, divine medicine. Can divine medicine treat such injuries? The doctor looked at Fu Xiang expectantly and saw him pass a blue medicine solution to Yi Feng. Yi Feng did not take it, so he immediately volunteered and said, I'll come. He wants to see what kind of divine medicine can treat this deadly internal injury. Fu Xiang handed the divine medicine to the local doctor. After receiving the medicine, the local doctor did not immediately administer it to Yi Feng. Instead, he opened the stopper and sniffed the medicine inside. There's not much smell. The doctor was about to pour out the medicine and taste it when Yi Feng quickly said, If you don't give me the medicine again, I will die. Is internal bleeding a joke? Don't worry, he's still awake and able to speak. That's because he persevered. The doctor looked shy and reluctantly poured the medicine from his hand into Yi Feng's mouth. He hasn't studied it yet. Thinking about it, he looked at Fu Xiang accusingly. The general has such a good elixir that he didn't even give it a try. Fu Xiang understood his meaning and pondered for a moment before saying, I'll send you one later. He also wants to know what ingredients these divine medicines contain. It would be even better if the local doctors could develop the formula. It can be said that Fu Xiang is having a wild imagination. After taking Mi Lanxi's repair liquid, Yi Feng's internal injuries healed instantly. This time, he truly experienced the efficacy of divine medicine. He held his stomach in disbelief and exclaimed in surprise, "All right." "What?" The local doctor couldn't believe it. "How long has it been since I took the medicine, is that all right?" "That's a fatal internal injury, with ruptured organs and internal bleeding." After confirming his recovery, Yi Feng straightened a carp on the bed and jumped up directly from the bed. The government doctor looked like he was seeing a ghost. Seeing Yi Feng about to leave the room, he quickly grabbed her. "Give me a diagnosis so that I can feel my pulse." Updated at 18.00 every day, end of this chapter. Chapter 10. News Leakage of Divine Medicine. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 News Leakage of Divine Medicine. Yi Feng said speechlessly, "Lao Shi, there are still a few black-clothed men locked up in the dungeon. I'll go examine them first, and I'll have you diagnosed later." The local doctor did not want Yi Feng to leave. The significance of diagnosing now is different from that of diagnosing later. At this moment, Yi Feng no longer cared about him. Thinking that he had been beaten by Mi Lanxi and his internal organs were bleeding, he wanted to find those people in the prison to be unlucky. Fu Xiang did not stop Yi Feng. He said to the local doctor, "Sir, this matter is not urgent for the time being. You will have such a chance in the future. The government doctor can only give up." Fu Xiang came out of the side courtyard, thinking of those black-clothed men. He also walked towards the dungeon. Yi Feng's interrogation methods were very mature. After staying in the dungeon for half an hour, he learned everything from the man in black. He reported the message to Fu Xiang, "General, their target tonight is Miss Mi. Han Zhe knows that you have brought a girl into the mansion, and he wants to use his own people to exchange Miss Mi." In this way, he planted an eyeliner in the general's house. Fu Xiang thought in confusion, "He's just so confident, thinking that I can't see someone pretending to be Mi Lanxi." Yi Feng said, "The person Han brought to replace Miss Mi is a woman known as the Thousand-Faced Man in the martial arts world. She is good at disguising and imitating, and most people cannot see her flaws." Fu Xiang was a bit surprised. It turned out to be the rumored Thousand-Faced Man. Has the Thousand-Faced Man died? As far as he knew, a man in black entered Mi Lanxi's room. Yi Feng looked complicated and said, "After the Thousand-Faced Man entered Miss Mi's room, he never came out again." Considering Miss Mi's explosive power at the time and the means of seriously injuring him, it seems that the Thousand-Faced Man was more ominous than unlucky. Thinking of this, Yi Feng couldn't help but sigh. Who would have thought that the Thousand-Faced Man, who was feared by both the martial arts world and the court, would die in the hands of the unknown Miss Mi? After listening to Yi Feng's report, Fu Xiang said to him, "Since the details of the people in black have been investigated, it's useless to keep them. Let's kill them all." "Yes." Yi Feng took orders. Before leaving the prison cell, Fu Xiang couldn't help but remind Yi Feng again, "Don't disturb Miss Mi anymore." "Got it." Yi Feng planned to be obedient this time. The cost of disturbing someone so recklessly is too high, he would never make a second mistake. Mi Lanxi's military strength is unfathomable. I wonder who has higher martial arts skills compared to the general. Guesthouse. Mi Lanxi doesn't care how Fu Xiang and Yi Feng interrogate those people in black. She entered the bedroom and saw the black-clothed man lying by the bed, saying to Guier, "Check her identity." Guier scanned the characteristics of the person in black. A person with 1,000 faces is skilled in disguise and imitation. Her current face is not what she used to be. Mi Lanxi raised her eyebrows. This is a talent. Unfortunately, it was electrocuted. She should be able to perform the legendary disguise technique and capture the memories left in her brain before she dies completely, Mi Lanxi said to Guier. Yes, Guier took advantage of Qianmian Ren's brain cells not yet dead and directly extracted memories from her brain. Extraction completed, memory stored. Lanxi looked at the body on the ground and continued to say to Guerre, clean up her body. Guerre emerged from the spiritual sea of Lanxi and turned into a tiny speck of light. It floats on the body of the thousand-faced man, casting a strong light on it, and the body turns into specks of dust. This way of handling the body is both clean and environmentally friendly. After handling the body of the thousand-faced man, Guerre returned to Lanxi's spiritual sea. Lanxi yawned and said, activate your defense and continue sleeping. In the mansion, with Yi Feng's lesson, no one should disturb her sleep tonight. In the late night, the general's mansion regained peace, but the Han mansion, which had been paying attention to the general's mansion, did not turn off the lights. General, the people we sent have infiltrated the general's mansion and have never come out again. They may have been exposed, said one of Han Zhe's confidants to him. Han Zhe's face was clearly extinguished. He looked at his confidant with a gloomy expression and said, I am certain that when there was a riot outside the city, I had already shot Fu Xiang in the heart. Why is he still alive at this time? His arrows were all hooked, and even if he didn't hit his heart, it wouldn't be easy for Fu Xiang to pull the arrow. How could Fu Xiang return to the city unscathed despite his foolproof plan? If Fu Xiang had evidence of his betrayal, the consequences would be unimaginable. Report. There's new news. At this moment, a spy reported outside Han Zhe's room. Speak up. Han said. The spy reported, according to our undercover reports, Fu Xiang's safe return is related to the woman he brought back. Our people also overheard that Yi Feng mentioned the word divine medicine when communicating with others. Han Zhe squinted his eyes, divine medicine. Yes, only divine medicine can cure injuries like Fu Xiang in this world. But how could there be a divine medicine in this world? Unfortunately, it still made Fu Xiang suffer. Fu Xiang's fate is really great. Although it was a deadly situation, he was blessed by heaven. Go investigate the woman brought back by Fu Xiang. As long as she steps out of the general's mansion, be sure to catch her, Han said to his subordinate. He also wants to have divine medicine. The sudden appearance of the divine medicine must be related to the woman in the general's mansion. Han Zhe is determined to obtain the divine medicine. At dawn, Qingxia, who had slept deeply all night, quickly woke up and began preparing things for Lanxi to wake up. She first arrived outside Lanxi's room, and just as she was about to open her room, she kept monitoring the outside and withdrew the room's defense. Qingxia smoothly entered Lanxi's room. Her movements were light and she didn't make any sound in the room. Guerre did not disturb Lanxi when she saw her dedication to her duties. Lanxi slept until she naturally woke up. After waking up, she realized that she had traveled through time and space and arrived at a strange feudal dynasty. Guerre, what time is it now? Lanxi asked. Guerre replied. 9 o'clock. Lanxi slowly sat up from the bed. Qingxia, who was outside the bedroom, kept an eye on Lanxi's movements. When she saw her sit up from the bed, she approached and asked, Miss Me, are you getting up? Lanxi nodded. Qingxia prepared everything for Lanxi to wake up. Lanxi had never seen such a battle before, and she silently washed up according to Qingxia's instructions. After washing up, Lanxi felt grateful to Qingxia in her heart. She really worked hard. Lanxi woke up late, which had already exceeded the time for meals at the general's mansion. When Fu Xiang woke up this morning, he kindly asked the kitchen to leave breakfast for Lanxi. Lanxi dined alone, and the food she ate was different from yesterday's. The new taste made her unable to resist. I'm used to updating at 7 o'clock in the morning, so let's switch back to updating at 7 o'clock. End of this chapter.